Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
The Daily Compliance News for April 15, 2025. Yes, it's tax day. The Redefining Corruption edition. We begin with that story from Axios, where Zachary Basu reports that Trump is in a quest to redefine fraud. Bruised by years of civil suits, criminal charges, and a history of felony fraud conviction, President Trump is using his second term to delegitimize the very concept of white-collar crime. The author believes it matters because Trump believes he was a victim of lawfare, and this has tainted his view of the justice system. Obviously, we had the attempt to shut down the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. We had the pause in FCPA enforcement. Trump has fired 2 Democrats from the Federal Trade Commission, the government's one of their top watchdogs for corporate fraud, consumer deception, and antitrust. So will he be able to do this? Frankly, only time will tell. In a related story from the Wall Street Journal, reports that the Trump administration has retreated completely from white-collar criminal enforcement. He points to the 3 authors, Dave Michaels, Richard Vandeford, and James Finelli, all familiar to listeners to this podcast because of their work for the Risk and Compliance Journal, with the Cognizant Technologies executives, Gordon Coburn and Stephen Schwartz, who are on the verge of going to trial for alleged payment of bribes in India when the Trump executive order. The Department of Justice originally said that it would prosecute the 2, and then immediately before the trial was to start, the week before, in fact, the Trump administration dropped all charges. So this shifts the administration's clearly urging the Trump administration to really cut back on all of these. Next up, from the Financial Times, an article by Paletta Clark on the pain of doing business under Trump. Buckling to a volatile administration has costs that are becoming apparent. The tariffs are perhaps the most recent example of this, where it's just simple confusion across the board because members are unclear, or consumers and producers and companies are wondering, can they say they're green? Can they still say it's clean? What if they participate in Climate Week? Will the administration sanction them? Then, of course, there's financial risks. Even numbers of shoppers at Targets have dropped. So there's an employee trust. Some of the world's largest law firms signed an open letter condemning the law firms caving in to Trump and how they feel about all of these. So lots of impacts from the Trump administration so far. And our final story comes to us from Reuters, which reports that the General Accounting Office plans to scrutinize changes at the SEC. The GAO is concerned and has told Senators Elizabeth Warren and Mark Warner that it will review the SEC's efforts to cut staff, end leases, and consolidate its work going forward. So the GAO has said they're going to look into this. Whether they do or not, of course, is a different matter.
The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.